thrills, a world of drama, of capes and tights, a world where death is a revolving door. Welcome to the Geek Matrix.
Cue the Thin Lizzy, because the boys are back in town.
Am I crazy, or did I hear a ton of shuffling in the background?
Yeah, I did too. So it
Someone
couldn't
dropped
have
something?
just been me. Josh, you're muted again.
Oh, yeah, that's why you couldn't hear me shuffling.
Okay.
No, it was weird because I knew I was shuffling, even though the screen said my mic was muted during countdown, but I could hear shuffling. Like what? And the Brandon heard it, so I don't know what the hell that was.
I was like, that was really weird.
During countdown, everybody should be muted, and then, but when it goes to the intro, when it goes to our intro video, it's not muted anymore.
Well, weird. I don't know what that shuffling was then.
The Ghost of Christmas Past.
God
coming to make up for all the times I didn't get McFarlane toys.
Well, it's December.
It is.
And you know what that means. Fucking cold.
Tits off.
Yeah.
Xmas.
Are you living in the South?
Yes, I am living in the South.
How cold is it there?
It is current. I don't fucking know. Colder than I want it to be.
We've recently had snowfall.
39 degrees.
I wish. I fucking wish. Yeah, we've had a lot of snowfall, and everywhere around us has had basically blizzard. So,
yikes!
You're welcome for taking it away from you.
Yeah.
Just keep it there.
All right, it's as follows. This is the DC Comics review show from the Geek Matrix, episode number. Josh, I've been away for 2 weeks. What number is it?
Oh, it's magic. 227.
227.
Yep.
What a number. Yes, we are.
Show.
What a show.
It was a great show.
Got a really big show. Yeah, so I've been away for 2 weeks. I got a new job, so I was training. But now I'm back, and I'm here to stay. And it's going well at the job, so I think I'll be staying there too.
Awesome.
Are you two not old enough to remember 227?
I go through a lot of numbers. I might know it, but you'd have to
clue.
Say a bit more than just 227.
It was a sitcom. Anyway, it's not important. Anyway.
Okay. Is it what the title was 227?
Yep.
Okay, no, I don't remember that. All right, so how you guys doing? As if I didn't already know.
I'm just swell. Thank you for asking.
You're swelling?
I'm swell.
I'm swollen.
You're swollen.
So that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's close enough. As these two boys right here are sick as dogs.
Josh is probably sicker than I am, but I just hate being sick in general. It's not fun.
I hear you.
It knocks you out for 4 days.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's not me next week because my mother's been sick for the past 2 weeks.
Oof.
And it's not going away fast.
I think I've discovered I probably have a very weak immune system, and I should do something about that because I don't think there's been a year in the past 6 years where I haven't gotten sick at least 2, if not 3 times in a year.
Yeah.
You need to smoke more weed.
Jesus Christ. That's the last thing I need to do.
I'm
going to lose my mind.
All the time.
Actually, now I'm just curious what you would be like, Brandon, high as a kite.
Oh God, I think that's already on file. But
I mean,
although,
okay, that was you on like some really strong cough
yeah,
medicine, but
that was not fun. That was the last time
that was
I was
so
sick and
much
had to
fun.
record a show.
That was like
Well,
2 years ago.
I guess, I mean, sometimes it can be fun, you know, if it's taken in moderation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sometimes have really bad anxiety, so it just triggers all of that and makes it like 10 times worse.
Understandable. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, getting sick really sucks, though.
Is no fun.
No.
If you don't
You
want
know,
to
it
be
doesn't
sick, just
suck.
don't be sick and be awesome instead.
Oh my God. Did I tell you on Monday? I wish I had. I was thinking about that quote because I was like,
Be awesome instead.
I felt the first. You know when you're about to get sick and you can feel it. Wait, hang on, sorry. I had to cough. When you're feeling sick and like you know it's coming, but you're just hoping that you can get on top of it before it gets on top of you. I always think about that quote where Barney's like, you know what I do when I'm feeling sick? I just stop being, or what? No, it's like a different one. It's like something like that.
I'd just not be sick. It'd be awesome.
Just not be sick. Yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
says that
Just
about
not be
being
sick and be awesome instead.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
says that, but he also says that about being sad too. And
He
I,
says
Yeah.
it about being
can't
sad,
remember.
and he says it
Yeah.
about sucking.
about
Yeah.
sucking.
Yep.
But I always think about that like right as I'm about to get sick because I know it's coming, and I'm like, no, I can do this. I can just be me and not be sick, and I'll get the better of it. It's mind over matter,
Exactly.
and it never works.
What
Yeah.
you don't see is on the show is the massive amounts of airborne that Barney's constantly down.
Yeah.
Vitamin C.
I also don't have Nora, Barney's girlfriend, to take care of me and heal my sickness in a day. I got to do that shit myself.
Yeah, but I think it was that same episode that I think it was that Barney's brother was there and said that Nora's basically his mom.
Oh, well, I think that might have been a different episode. I can't remember, but I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like they all start basically having paranoia that their partners are their parents.
Yeah.
We have a very funny sequence with Marshall and Lily.
Oh God, yeah, that was funny. Oh goodness, dear listeners, if you haven't, you need to watch How I Met Your Mother up until the last season, then just stop.
And then just stop it.
Up until the last episode.
The last season, I gets a lot of hate, but there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, like there's some good stuff in the last season. Just the last episode will piss you off, and just follow your own headcanon. That's all you need to do.
Just pretend however it ended is not the way that it ended.
Exactly.
That's what I do. I live in denial.
You know, like what you did for Dexter. That shit.
Dexter.
Well, speaking of sitcoms, I discovered one on Netflix that came out by Michael Schur, the guy that created The Good Place and co-created Brooklyn Nine-Nine, et cetera, et cetera.
Are you sure?
I'm Michael Schur. And yes, and don't call me Shirley. Yeah, it stars Ted Danson. Which
Man on the Inside?
Man on the Inside. It is fan-fucking-tastic.
It really
I watched
is.
all 8 episodes, and I'm gonna say it might be the best work of Ted Danson's career.
Really?
Might be. There was
I don't know, man.
Really nice moments.
He
in that
He was not. I haven't really seen Cheers, so I couldn't say.
Oh,
but he was not a main character in Curb Your Enthusiasm. But that's probably the funniest thing I've ever seen him in.
I mean,
every time
but,
Ted shows up in Curb, it's hilarious because he's got the dry sense of humor that I just love.
Oh yeah, like I'm not even just talking about comedy chops though. Like his acting chops shine in this show.
You know
it's as much emotional as it is funny.
He doesn't really get too big of a chance to do like sincere heartbroken emotion. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you're seeing come through in this show, and he does do it really, really good. It's
Oh
not
god.
like done heavily,
No.
but it's done very quickly and it's done
It's
very
done.
well
It's done right.
because it is a comedy show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is man, Cheers is like holy grail land. Okay,
Yeah.
as far as sitcoms go.
Well, speaking of Cheers, the
But I would
sitcom.
say that his performance in Man on the Inside is just as good as his performance as Sam.
Oh, nice.
Fair enough.
Oh, speaking of Cheers, the sitcom that there's like 2 sitcoms that I've been watching lately, but one of the ones that I've been watching lately is Frasier. Just because like my girlfriend and I had watched it, I was like, oh, this is kind of funny, but I never really watched it by myself. But I've been doing that a lot lately, and it's become very cathartic for me. That and Josh, you've probably seen this show, but did you ever watch Broad City with Alana Glazer and Abby Jacobson?
Well, yes, of course.
That has been like my new comfort show. I think because like it's weird how much more relatable it's become to my life since graduating college and moving to Brooklyn. So yeah, that's been like my go-to in the past few weeks or so.
Nice, nice. We're still chugging along. Holly is it's a mission. I've never seen her quite so determined about a show since she wanted to binge watch all of Game of Thrones before she began to watch it live for the very first time ever.
Jeez.
Slammed through the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, excuse me. She slammed through everything in under a month,
Respect.
right? But so as far as Futurama goes, she is staying the course, and I'm getting at least 2 episodes a day now,
Right on.
That's good.
roughly.
A Futurama a day, an episode of Futurama a day. I don't know, keeps the
Oppressive
insanity
robot
away. Yeah.
No, the oppressive robots will show up.
Yeah.
The more you watch Futurama,
Sons of bitches.
you will start to feel for the robots.
What is the other one? I'm completely blanking on it. I was trying to get to. We've been watching Man on the Inside as far as a broadcast show goes.
Yeah.
It's Man on the Inside, and then there's one other one. And
Saint Denis Hospital. Or Saint Denis.
Yeah, Saint Denis Hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Which I need to
show
start.
Is amazing. And dude, I mean, I can't stand The Office. I think The Office, it was a group of people trying their best to pull off the live docu-comedy, and it failing, and everybody loved it. To me,
Yeah.
St. Denis is doing what The Office tried to do, and like actually nailing it out of the fucking park.
Well, I don't hate the docu-comedy style. Jesus Christ, my fucking voice right now, I can't. But I think there are shows that have done it better.
Yeah, like Parks and Rec, Modern Family.
Modern Family, yeah.
Parks and Rec and Modern Family were awesome. You know what? Yeah, and this, I would say that this is done better than Parks and Rec.
Although Parks and Rec, that's definitely a show that it had to take time to grow for me, because that first season was really awkward.
Yeah.
It was different, but it didn't take long for me to forget about it.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was still trying to find its comedy footing, if that makes sense.
I mean, if it means anything at all of the most memorable moments from the show that get shared online constantly are from every other season.
Yeah.
Except the first.
Are we talking about Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Man, I fucking love that show so much.
Yeah, so good.
I loved that show so much that still to this day, I get excited just by seeing Rashida Jones in credits.
Yeah.
It's like, this is going to be good because even if she's only in for an episode, if she's in something, it's going to be good.
Yep. There's a sitcom that she's in, or at least was in, I can't remember what it was called, but I keep meaning to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she plays a lawyer.
I'm blanking on that.
Yeah.
One. I know she
No
was
clue.
in the
Yeah.
first episode of Silo, but I wouldn't call that a sitcom.
She was in, I don't know, I Love You,
Oh
Man,
my God.
starring
I
Paul
Love You, Man,
Rudd.
yeah. If you guys haven't seen that yet, the show Silo.
Angie Tribeca.
No, that's not it.
No
Silo.
clue.
Well, that's
Silo.
no, that's the one I was talking about. Sorry. Wow, that was a while ago. Yeah, sorry. I needed to look it up.
So the show Silo, right?
Yeah.
It's in the future, like way, way, way in the future, and there are 10,000 people that are living in this silo underground. Can't go outside. No one knows what happens. No one what happened. No one knows how long they've really been underground. No one knows how long until they're gonna be able to come out. But humanity, or at least 10,000 people, are living in this massive underground silo that has everything there you need to make that work. And there's like these really specific rules that go on, and it's a really unique premise. And then by the end of episode 3, like, you are in hook, line, and sinker. We sat down to watch an episode of it, just to see if we wanted to watch it or not, because it just started its second season.
Right.
So we sat down to watch the first episode, and we're gonna watch it and then see if we liked it or not. And
Nice.
started out watching one episode, ended up us watching 3 1-hour-long episodes in a row,
Right.
and then finishing the remainder of the season over the course of the next 2 days. So now we're in season 2, and I highly recommend it.
I think I've seen clips of that show.
Really good.
Yeah.
Rashida Jones actually is in the first episode of that one, and it's, oh my God, it's just really, really, really good stuff, man.
Also, am I on like acid or something, or am I the only one that realized that the Creature Commandos show was out today? I had no clue.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
like I just saw it come across my, like, on my timeline. I was like, when does that? Because I thought it was later in December, so I just plugged it into Google, and apparently it's out on Max right now.
I thought
I know
it was
what I'm
next
doing.
year.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I know what I'm doing after we wrap up.
Hell yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to check that out. Shit, that's good news.
Yeah.
The beginning of the DC universe starts today, folks. Today.
Right?
I guess continuation, but
I mean,
and I just want to put this out there. It's
Straws and
official. It's
ass.
on the record. And since this is like released out into broadcast, unlike every huge fan of Archer the cartoon show has always wanted a live action. Every major fan of Archer the cartoon show has always wanted a live action remake.
I mean that helps that most of the cast looks like they're voice actors.
All of them do, with the exception of
Archer.
Of H. John Benjamin.
I always thought they could have just casted John Hamm and then have H. John
voiceover, yeah.
And it would have
But that perfect. I don't know, that wouldn't work, because I know what John Hamm sounds like. It just would it would be awkward. I couldn't see it.
Feel like they could get John Hamm to just play Archer.
Yeah, just do an impression.
And have H. John Benjamin have like a cameo or something. Or play the villain or something.
No, they should have H. John Benjamin play B. Waterhouse. That would be epic. That would be awesome. that whole point went to saying that this cast was actually put together with the potential of a live action movie being spawned from the cartoon. So
Oh damn.
that is something to keep in your pocket and potentially be happy about. Watch the show, and if you like it, watch it 3 more times, get those numbers up, and it could become a real thing.
Oh, you're talking about Creature Commandos.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I mean, Aisha Tyler still looks banging, but I don't
Although,
think
I don't
anybody
know.
else
I
is
mean,
up to being a live action
as cool as it would be to have a live action, like I would just be more excited if the if the animated show was a hit in and of itself, and they could just do more seasons, like what
Yeah.
they
Well,
did with
yeah, I mean,
Harley
I'll
Quinn.
settle for that. For
Yeah.
sure. I'll settle for it being good, not just being a hit.
Yeah. And I'll say one last thing on the topic of sitcoms, bringing up Frasier. I cannot make eggs. I cannot make scrambled eggs without singing the theme song.
Of course you can. No one can.
No.
Not after they've heard it. And it's amazing how it sticks in your head too.
Yeah. All these years later. Did you know?
Pop up at the least expected moments.
Did you
even
know
like
that's actually Kelsey Grammer singing that?
I did. Yeah. And for a while I could recognize the sound of his voice, but I was like, is that him or is that just someone that kind of sounds like him? But
right.
And later I discovered it was in fact him. And apparently he wrote the lyrics too, which is very funny.
Yeah. Took me years to realize that. And I only realized it because in a later season, during an end credits video, they have him performing that song live on a stage somewhere.
There you go.
Holy shit, that's actually him.
I'd see that live.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd pay a ticket just to see him sing that 30-second song, and then I go home.
I mean, ideally, it would be part of a Kelsey Grammer's greatest hits show where he does that, and then he goes backstage and
comes out dressed as Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, well, actually, I was gonna say then he does a quick beast transformation.
I would love to see that, but I also know that I think he had to spend like 6 or 7 hours in the makeup chair.
I can only imagine with that much makeup.
Yeah, that's never a quick transformation. If he can do that like wardrobe change backstage in 3 minutes, I will be impressed.
That would be impressive. That'd be shocking.
Be absolutely shocking. You're muted again, Josh.
Alan Tudyk can do
it. Alan Tudyk can do anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely. There's someone I'd like to see a greatest hits
out there. Like if there is
an Alan Tudyk greatest hits,
is indeed Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. Have him do Wash. Have him do
dishes.
Was the robot he was in
K2SO?
K2SO.
Yeah.
I don't want him to do the voice. So I want him to like literally go backstage, be in a robot costume, and then come back out on stage. I'll settle for no less.
Yes.
And then he'll run backstage, and then as like what else? He'll put on Joker makeup, and then he'll come back out stage, and just keep doing that for like 2 hours.
What is this shit?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve the Pirate,
Like out of the ether, Rip Torn's voice says, "If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball."
I think we already talked about this like 2 episodes ago, but I already made clear how much I love Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of us are big Alan Tudyk fans, and I don't know if I think
it's hard
you
to
guys
not
were
be.
here when I was telling you about how Holly finds his voice in Resident Alien to be
like relaxing. Yeah, that's still so weird for me. I don't understand it, but I'm like, okay.
I'd have to listen to it again, but just knowing how his voice sounds, I could get that. I understand.
But it's not the kind of thing that would like put me at ease or help me fall asleep or something. That's just so bizarre to me.
Oh, it's very stilted and stunted and shrieky at times.
It'd be like what was that? Josh is gonna rip me apart because I don't know the name, but what was the show that Robin Williams was on where he was like an alien?
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Nah,
It'd be like that, and it was like, oh man, it just helps me calm down. I feel so at ease.
Yes.
Said no one.
No.
Oh, I used to love that show so much.
That was funny.
And he had a baby, and it was this big, huge, fucking 50-year-old hairy fat man.
I missed that episode. Holy crap! What? Shit. Clearly, my Mork and Mindy watching was very limited.
Mork. Nanu.
Yeah. Fuck, there was something I was also gonna say, and I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Damn. Anyway, that's enough about sitcoms. Is there any comics news that we need to bring up?
No, I mean there's not even really like books that I like, omnibuses or anything. There's a couple of trades that coming out that ain't nothing huge.
Yeah.
No big news that I saw.
The only thing that I saw that I didn't even know was like a thing that had been developed, let alone released, was they did a JSA compendium for the 1999 series. It's only like the first 25 issues, but naturally it's another release that makes me feel like a huge jackass because, of course, I had already gotten like a bunch of the trades of that series. Yeah. And then in true fashion, I come to find out that they have all that shit compiled in a nice, easy to find compendium. So here am I with all these trades that I have to read separately when I could have just had it in one complete, book. But yeah, I don't know what the price tag is. I think it might be like $60, but I picked it up, flipped through it. Definitely seems like it's worth the money if you want to just have 25 issues of that JSA series, as well as some other like extra issues attached to it.
Right on. I might just check that out. You're muted again, dude.
I'm always muted again, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta check that.
$55 on Amazon if you have Prime right now, but I think retail price is $60. So
fair enough.
Could be a lot worse. Honestly, It's cheaper than buying the omnibus, and it'd be easier to read too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So what were you gonna say? Or were you already saying that we couldn't hear you, Josh?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh fuck.
I'm sitting there thinking, when we collect books, collect all the books. No more of this mini shit. You get one thing where they like, if you're gonna collect an entire Peter David omnibus, have that be the Peter David Aquaman omnibus. Every fucking thing that he's done. If you're gonna have a Green Lantern Corps omnibus or compendium or whatever word you want to throw on it, have it be everything. Have everything but 4 issues.
Here's the thing. It's like, I can understand it because you can only do so many pages before it becomes like a Bible or bigger than a Bible. Because at that point, it's like, volumes. You can't even read it. That's the point. It's better to... What?
It already is a fucking Bible.
Yeah, basically. But you want it to try and collect everything, but also be something that you can actually read, not like this giant tome, like the Infinity Book from Final Crisis.
Infinity Book.
I'm displaying
different volumes
omnibus like a Bible.
Yeah.
That's fine, but I feel like if you're gonna come out with Young Avengers Volume 1 collection, have everything there. It should be like all of the entire collection by the title, by the author for the title, or like across an event. And I am having a hard enough time figuring out how to determine whether or not any of these collections are going to have everything it is that I'm looking for inside inside the collection. Because there's collected editions. There's like oh Jesus, I wish I had the thing pulled up right now. There's different kinds of collected editions. There's DC's finest editions. There's compendiums. There's omnibuses. There's
Well, I mean, you have an idea. Jesus Christ, you have an idea of what you want, right? Like sometimes you want the complete series. Sometimes you want it up to a certain point. Like let's say, I don't know. I think they just put out. Well, I'll give you an example. Like with 100 Bullets, right? Like I don't know. I bought it in a very stupid way, which is like they put out like 5 of the deluxe editions, which I think each collect like 20 issues, right? Whole series is 100 issues, 100 Bullets, right? Makes perfect sense. Except I think I got like the first 3 deluxe editions, and then they were doing like $5 trades at my LCS at the time, and they had a bunch of 100 Bullets. And I was like, well, I'll just get those, right? And it was like so now the collection that I have is like a weird mix of those white deluxe editions and the regular trades that they released between 2001 and whenever that series ended. So I think it all comes down to, do you want something that is more complete? Do you want something that collects a bunch of issues in bulk? Or do you want something that's like, it's going to be a bit more concise, and you'll just have more of them? And you'll have different types of collectors. You want some people that want maybe things that are more concise. You also might want collectors who prefer having the older volumes or whatever, or the ones that are not as overstuffed, because some of those are more streamlined, and some of them have older covers that aren't featured on the newer deluxe editions. And there are a bunch of examples I could give of that, of like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it before, but like collected editions will have new covers and stuff like that all the time. Some people will buy it just for that reason, but some people will also not buy it for that reason. So it very much depends on the kind of person that you are and how you want to collect your stuff and how you want it to look in your collection. It's all about your feng shui. I didn't use that right. It's all about the shape of your collection, how you want to show it off to all of your friends who are going to promptly look at it for 10 seconds and say, that's cool, and then ask where the beer is. That's so funny.
For them,
like,
it's for me, man.
That's the thing. It's like you could go on and on about like, I just want it to look a certain way, but it really is just about you, because no one else cares.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you're telling a friend that hasn't read it before about Blackest Night.
Sure.
And like, what's the easiest way for you to read it? And like, well, do you want to read everything? Or do you want to read just like have the general gist of it?
Yeah, the easiest way to read it is to read the series called Blackest Night issues 1 through 8. That's really all you need. You don't need any other timing.
No.
I don't agree with that.
No, I disagree.
I don't agree with it. I call that lazy learning.
That's not lazy learning. That's called I'm reading the series as it was intended.
But you don't have the build-up. You don't have anything important that happens across with that. I mean,
you don't necessarily need that. Issues. I mean, did you read all the build-up to Final Crisis? Probably not. I doubt most of the people who read Final Crisis read Countdown to Final Crisis or any of. I mean, I'm sure some people were reading the Batman-related tie-ins because Grant Morrison was writing it. But my point is, some of this stuff is like it can be treated as necessary to the story, but it's not essential, at least in my opinion. The first time I read Blackest Night, I read issues 0 through 8. I was fine. I had no problems in reading and comprehending the story. Going through it a second time was when I read the Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps related the other tie-ins like Adam and Hawkman and Batman and Flash and all that stuff. But it was I never got through the story and was like, oh, I understand it more now.
I would argue that the Green Lantern series tie-ins are almost necessary. Yes, you could read issues 1, 0 through 8 and get the gist of the story, but there is a point, I believe it's between issues 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 of Blackest Night, where there was an issue of Green Lantern that came out between those that bridged a gap. Like you get to the end of one issue of Blackest Night, And then the next issue of Blackest Night opens up with this team of lanterns showing up, and you had no idea where the hell they came from, but that was explained in Green Lantern.
I mean, it's been a minute since I've read it, so there could be some truth to that. But from what I remember of reading just Blackest Night
Green
in
Lantern
itself.
43.
No, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying is, I'm sure that stuff helps, but I don't think it's essential. And how I would recommend it to someone is, like, they have multiple printings of Blackest Night. You could get the Essential Edition. You could get the, just the classic trade. I don't know if they've done a printing of that lately. You could get the Absolute Edition. And I'm sure I'm forgetting another one. But
they've got the one that I just picked up. It's like $20. I think it was 25. Maybe I got it on sale. I probably got it on sale. But in any case, I mean, it's Green Lantern 43, which you have to read. Blackest Night 0 through 8, and then it's got 2 deleted scenes from Untold Tales of the Blackest Night #1. At the end.
I own that issue, and those stories are fascinating, but they are not necessary.
No.
Untold Tales of the Blackest Night. The only one in there that I thought was worth a damn was the Scarecrow story.
It's just two deleted scenes from that issue.
I see. Yeah, that is the Essential Edition, I think,
that
or the DC Essentials.
To get the Brandon way of reading it. But I think that there should also be a collection out there.
I mean, there is. Most of the Omnibuy do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have every single tie-in on it.
There is a Blackest Night book that has every single tie-in.
Like those are the comprehensive ones, yeah.
All right.
But those ones are, first of all, they're like $175, which for my money is not worth it. You don't need to read all that shit. Most of these you could probably find in your local comic shop's dollar bin, but never mind the fact that you could just take your ass over to any Barnes and Noble, pay $20 and read Blackest Night, and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
And save the $150 and, I don't know, go to Dave and Buster's or something.
Say you get into something and you completely fucking nerd out on it, though. I mean,
if you're a diehard Blackest Night fan, sure, but
yeah,
I would never call it essential reading.
There's a difference. There's a thin line.
I feel like the diehard joke.
I want that book that's got everything in it.
I love
that
it.
You're calling the comprehensive edition. I would be incredibly I would be so mad if I bought a book that had almost all of it, just to find out afterward that I didn't have everything. I would be pissed. I would be so mad.
Like
so
2 issues.
why does the one that has almost everything exist when there's one that has just a little bit more? Why not just have that one be the one that exists?
Well, which are the almost ones that you're talking about? Because my understanding of events is that they pretty much never do that. It's usually just going to be, you're either going to get the book, like the event book, in a very straightforward format, like this is Infinite Crisis issues 1 through 7, the end, versus the Infinite Crisis Omnibus, which prints fucking everything, the OMAC Project and, Ran Thanagar War and every single tie-in from here to Teen Titans. Which again, if you want that because you love the series so much, you sleep with it in bed every night and you give it a little tuck before you put it under your pillow, that's fine.
What do you mean by tuck?
Most people are just gonna read the series and call it a day.
Fair enough. I would like to have big ass collections like that. I would like to have it for. I'd like to get one for death metal, or for metal and death metal combined. Actually, the entire fucking thing put into chronological order. I'd like to have the death of Superman done like that, but again, everything in chronological order.
Don't they have an omnibus for the death of Superman? Am I tripping? I think they do.
I'm pretty sure
they've got like a million different versions.
Yeah,
but again, there's a million different versions. So which one do?
Well, no, but that one. I mean, again, I'd have to go through it again. But I'm pretty sure that one's pretty comprehensive. If it's anything like the Nightfall omnibus, whatever, or the No Man's Land ones, like those are the best you can get, right? The No Man's Land is like that's almost like self-masturbatory to the point of like, yeah, we're literally like anything that fell under the No Man's Land banner is going to be put in these fucking books, which is probably why no one buys them because they're insanely large and impossible to read.
I'm sitting here going, that is my creme de la creme. That is the gold standard. All collections should.
I'm not talking about
No Man's Land.
It's like I'm not talking about the actual content. I'm talking about the fact that like they're too damn big and you can't read them because they are tomes from the Middle Ages that you need to sprawl across a desk and read by candlelight. That's the only way you can read it. You can't read it in bed.
This thing no less than 4 times.
Again, look at what you have in your hands. That is the deluxe edition. I think there were 5 of those made, right? Those are perfect. Those are perfect for reading in bed and reading in any other scenario. I'm talking about an omnibus that is bigger than the size of like a tiger's head.
Hang on a second.
I don't need it. I mean, that's big print.
No, but that's my point. So when I said there are different kinds of collectors, people who want different things, there are people who are going to want the oversized comprehensive thing because they just want all the books in one place so they can have it, as opposed to someone who I assume like you wants to just, pick it off the shelf, read it, flick through it, and then put it back effortlessly. So it's not a problem, right? So you need to think about
this.
Something like, but bigger than that. I know that's Marvel Zombies, but
bigger than this
bigger than that. Yeah.
Is there bigger than this?
Dude, I'm telling you. It's like the only thing it's comparable to is wait, hang on. Now I gotta fucking go through my shelf. Hope I don't break my back.
This is probably Ultimate Fantastic Four 21 to 23 and 30 to 32. God. Marvel Zombies 1 to 5. Black Panther 28 to 30. Marvel Zombies 2 1 to 5. Marvel Zombies Return 1 to 5. Marvel Zombies 3 1 to 4. Marvel Zombies 4 1 to 4. Marvel Zombies 5 1 to 5. Marvel Zombies Supreme 1 to 5. And 3 Marvel Zombies 1 shots.
So everything that's got Marvel Zombies on it.
Dang, I didn't want to turn on.
At least it was at the time. So because more Marvel Zombies has come out since this.
That's true. Gotcha. But first you got to keep in mind that like No Man's Land was a book that ran for I think over 2 years across all books, and there were many bad books at the time.
Do you have the No Man's Land omnibus?
Oh no, but the only I was gonna. Well, I don't want to turn on my camera because I'm fucking sick and I look awful. But no, there are 2. It actually might be 3. But the only other thing I can compare it to, this is the biggest omnibus I have in my collection. This is the Invisibles omnibus. Look at the size of the spine.
Oh. That is pretty big.
This is massive.
That does look.
I think this might be like over 60 issues. Hang on, let me see. I'm like, the reason I can barely read this thing is because it's so fucking big, and you can only read it in the manner that I described, which is putting it on your desk and hunching over it like a monk in the 12th century.
I mean, you can't kick back with that on your lap in bed?
No. In total, this thing is 1,483 pages.
I feel like you've never really read Stephen King.
I haven't read the obscenely long novels of his, no.
Where do you find the page count? Or did you just Google it?
No, I mean, it's like if you go through the table of contents, you can find that there.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that.
Oh, that's weird. Anyway, oh god, now I gotta put this thing back in the closet.
All right, this was printed in 2012.
Okay, well, actually, you can find the page count online. This omnibus is 1,123 pages, which is actually less than the Invisibles omnibus, but it should give you a sense of how big that's going to be. So my point is, you would be better off getting the yellowish bronze trades that Josh just showed, as opposed to getting these obscenely large books that you like can barely read.
Or somebody just print me out like that size volumes of literally every issue that's in
Or
something.
better yet, wait for
Make
them
it
to do a
just.
compendium, which they will at some
But
point,
compendiums
which you can read.
always leave out issues.
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't do that. They take the content of an omnibus, they chop it up into like not smaller, but not as clunky chunks,
Case in
and
point, the
will.
Wildstorm Compendium, Volume 1.
I was the one that was wrong about that actually. I was the one who was saying they left out the Cyberforce issues only to find out that they did have them in there. So I was the one who had to put
It
the foot
does
in my
have it in
mouth.
there?
It does. That was the message that I sent. I was wrong. My only complaint with it was that they just did a lot of recoloring that I didn't like. But I was wondering like why did that happen? But I was wrong because sometimes these listings are inaccurate, that's more a fault in the publisher than the actual printing itself. Nevertheless, I think you'll find that most of these are fine. The example I always use, the reason I love compendium so much is, as with many things, because of Mark Waid. Because I never would have found out and appreciated this format if it wasn't for Irredeemable. That was the best way I could have read that book, having it just in like one big giant block, and it made it so much easier to read. And that was like 40 issues.
Damn. I do not see a No Man's Land Compendium.
They don't. It doesn't exist yet, but it will. One of these days, I'm sure.
I believe you. All right.
I know this. I know this because never in my lifetime would I have imagined that they would put Starman, of all things, in a compendium. But they did. And not just one, but two. The whole series, which is incredible. Because for years, those oversized collections were out of print and impossible to find. They were like $40 on eBay. And they just made everyone's life so much easier. So I believe that in a couple of years, you will see many more books printed in that format. Probably because they're easier to produce. And you can sell them for a little bit cheaper than an omnibus, which means that more people will buy them, which is better for me. Maybe not other people, but definitely for me, because I appreciate it more. And it's all about me.
It's all about you. All right. Well, I guess we should probably stop talking about comic books so much and maybe start talking a little bit about comic books.
Yeah.
Right on. Before we get into the main ones, let me talk about the honorable mentions. First up, Fico Ossio's art on JSA number 2 variant is it's like so beautiful. But David Nakayama's cover D for Action Comics 1078 is literally beautiful. Like he drew Supergirl in some kind of a crystal dress. Holy shit. It took me
Come
a
on,
second
Josh.
to
We're not
realize
16 anymore.
No, dude. Look at that. Just look at it. It is absolutely
You're going to get me to start buying the Art Germ covers again. But I'm not in high school anymore. I grew out of that.
Mateus Manhanini on Absolute Superman 2 is on fire, and both JonBoy Meyers and Bjorn Barends draw covers that I would love to have on Batman. As far as honorable titles go, we've got DC's No More Jingle Bells, but Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg #1. John Stewart, The Secret Six, John Constantine, The Joker, Deadman, Dr. Mid-Nite, Vixen, and Superman get their own little crazy holiday stories from DC's annual anthology book. And it's not bad. Typical seasonal anthology if you can get past the cover. 7 out of 10. DC Horror Presents Creature Commandos #3. We were talking about the cartoon earlier. The comic is great. It's dark, gritty, written well. It's a fun read too. I hope that it continues because so far we've got a really good main universe horror book here, and I'd like to keep it that way. 8.25 out of 10. Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #2. It's amazing art. It's stellar. It's got a big cast of popular characters and a story that so far looks like it's trying to outdo the last go round with our Silent Night. I'm all in for this series. It was a good time. Last time, I'm sure this will be no different. 8 out of 10. DC Horror presents the anthology number 2. And I'm going to keep saying that until they fix it and stop fucking with people. Some people are too stupid. Anyway, DC Horror presents the anthology number 2. Two Twisted Tales for the Penguin and Scarface. The Penguin one, that one wasn't bad. The Scarface one was really good, if not a little messed up, but it was really good. 7.75 out of 10. Little Batman Month 1, number 2. This continues to be a fun story for everyone and suitable for the younger crowds. The comedy in it is just great, and if you just watch it, well, you can't watch this one. You could watch the movie. That's good for a giggle. These books are great for a read and giggle. 8 out of 10. And Batgirl number 2, continuing the story. Cass is forced to do things she doesn't want, like leave Gotham. But with the new enemy, is that the right choice? Second issue, and it is a killer. 8.25 out of 10. And those are all the honorables worth mentioning.
Awesome.
Is it? You guys reading any of them books?
I will be. I just need to catch up.
Only Batgirl.
I liked it. Did you read Batgirl yet?
Yes. Yeah, that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Cassandra going off into the great unknown once again.
Yes.
Well, then I guess now's a good time to write down the time for a commercial. And like magic, Shazam, we are back.
Awesome.
Shazam, indeed.
Shazam. There you go.
Excuse me. Well, this is Shazam number 18. Welcome to our Overlords Part 3. This is written by Josie Campbell with pencils and inks from Dan McDade. Inks on some pages from Roberto Poggi. Colors from Trish Mulvihill and letters from Troy Pateri with the cover from Gleb Melnikov. Josh, please, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes.
Throw up that cover for us.
Well,
it's an interesting cover for sure. All right, so we tune into what is seemingly the end of the world, but really just the end of the Shazamming world for the time being. Mary Marvel is getting her keister handed to her by what is now revealed to be the Monster Society of Evil, which has fully reformed and is attacking her directly. Hoppy is doing what it can to escape, and as far as we know, it does. But Mary is captured and is taken to Georgia Savannah, I'll call her arch nemesis from her own little miniseries last year. George reveals that she is the quote-unquote head of the Monster Society of Evil, despite the fact that she is not a monster, as is said by Mary Marvel. But then Georgia reveals that Mary is totally wrong because she has infected herself with the Savannah Tech cell phones that turn her into a powerful being and essentially a monster. Mary is then blasted by some sort of green ray by Georgia Savannah, which seemingly disintegrates her, but we'll get more on that later. Billy, meanwhile, still with Hephaestus and the captain, hear a loud thundering rumble, and they head back to the Rock Fraternity. to find out what's happened. But then Freddy gets a call from Darla, who mentions that she doesn't know anything about Mary, but Billy needs to get there now because Freddy is trying to kill people as she's watching it on the news. So they switch into the captain and head straight towards the commander, and they face him head on. But the commander is able to get the drop on the captain, all while monologuing a whole bunch of evil nonsense and smashing him through a whole bunch of buildings. To the point that Freddy, within his own head, is realizing what's happening, and he can't control his body. He can't stop, and he's being spoken to by the creature that lives inside the green lightning bolt that Hephaestus had explained to us that he discovered last issue. So Freddy is no longer in control of his body and is beating the tar out of the captain, but none other than Bo, the Bo of Billy and Freddy, arrives and takes the captain far, far away in her. Yeah, it's her car. Couldn't remember if that was Freddy's van for a second, but no, it's her vehicle. Gets the captain far away, but the captain is starting to fade. He has been beaten almost lifeless. And Billy knows the only way to save him is by transforming back into Billy, where the captain can go back to the Rock of Eternity and heal. But that means revealing his identity to Bo. He doesn't care. He does it anyway. Billy then asks Bo for one big favor, to turn around so he can save Freddy as well. At the same time, the Monster Society of Evil have taken to attacking the city, and everything is just getting wrecked to shit. We then find Mary is now on the moon with Georgia Savannah, who can apparently breathe and speak, but Mary has virtually no oxygen, save the ones the oxygen that was in her lungs when she got teleported to the moon, along with a bunch of Mr. Minds growing out of the moon rock. And that's where the issue ends. Next issue is promised. Not everyone is going to survive. Well then. Well then. This was a fun one. This was like a culmination of almost every Shazam story we've had in the past 2 years, at least from Josie Campbell. Like we finally get more purpose to that mini series she wrote for Mary Marvel last year or 2 years ago. While as good as it was, it definitely felt like there was more story to come, and I'm happy that it's actually being addressed. And this, I expected the Monster Society of Evil to happen at some point, but this is wild. This is crazy. This is like the Sinister Six and Venom attacking all at once. There's so much happening, and the heroes are kind of just stuck. Like this is a dire time for the Shazamly, and I'm all for it. The art is really good. It complements the story really well. It's not too grandiose. It's just grandiose enough. The color's a little muted, but it fares well with the almost classic feeling pencils that I think lend itself well to the characters in the story. The return of Mr. Mind in multiple forms is quite surprising. I can't wait to see what that's about. But for now, I'm giving this an 8.75 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, no, I don't. I have too much else. I have too much else to add. Aside from the just kind of echoing what you said, especially about the art. Dan McDade really kind of bringing it heavy with this issue. I think I might have said it before, but I like the way that he really emphasizes the difference in size between certain characters, like especially Billy and the Captain, because I was like how small Billy seems in comparison to the Captain. But it also definitely shows like when he's fighting against Freddy, because Freddy's all like roided out and everything, and you can really get the sense of how menacing Freddy has become at this point. after being infected by Savannah,
Yeah.
or by Mr. Mind. So a lot of great art stuff here that I just want to mention. But in addition to the story, I agree, it does feel like the culmination of what Josie Campbell had set up with that Power of Shazam or New Champion of Shazam miniseries, with Mary and Savannah, and what she's been able to do with this series with Billy and Freddie. And so, yeah, it feels like everything is kind of coming to a head. It'll be interesting to see, because I know Freddie is eventually going to work his way through this, but I wonder what kind of resolution that will be with his powers and everything like that. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, but especially, how it will all resolve itself. So 8 out of 10, like I said.
Right on. Josh?
To me, the new Doctor feels like a much heavier threat than the original.
Yeah.
But even with all the changes, everything that is happening, it just feels so much like a Shazam book. It's got that classic feel that sets Shazam apart from other capes. It's done well. It looks good too. Though there were a few places that I thought the art could be a bit better, mostly in faces. 7.5 out of 10.
Also, it's a small detail, but I always like whenever an artist will draw the Savannas, they never show their pupils. I don't know. I think it's just like a throwback to the old Wiz style, but they did that with Georgia, and I was like, oh, I love that nod, because it does make them look kind of silly, but there's
That's
something I love
perfect.
about it that looks so sinister,
Yep.
and it just works.
For that particular character, it sure does.
Yeah.
They are definitely giving them justice.
Very clever. Very, very clever. Well, speaking of justice, shoot me. Justice Society of America #2, or why don't we just simplify it and call it JSA #2, is our next book on the schedule, written by Mr. Jeff Lemire with art from Diego Olertegui, colors from Luis Guerrero, and letters by Steve Wands. I'm going to blow through this summary real quickly, so let's get right to it. We start off 1 week before the current events of the main story, where Jade, Dr. Mid-Nite, and Sand are investigating a strange disturbance in an Opal City theater, while Wildcat, Jesse Quick, and Our Man investigate a break-in at Ted Knight's old planetarium. Now, I didn't mention that Ted Knight is the old Starman when I wrote up the summary, but I feel like that should go without saying. And if you don't know that Ted Knight is Starman, reevaluate your life. Anyway, sorry, I just need to get that out of the way. The planetarium team finds evidence that suggests Cobra is involved, prompting Obsidian to want to take action with the strike team. The Wildcat, the Ted Grant Wildcat, not the Wildcat that's with the planetarium team, and Obsidian are momentarily butting heads over the whole strike team idea, before they're interrupted as the JSA Brownstone gets ambushed by none other than Grundy, as well as Ruby Sokov, what the fuck, and Shadow Thief. And obviously, Alan is very confused why Ruby is there, but you have to read the issue to kind of understand it, except not really, because she doesn't say anything more than, this is what I need to do. I'm getting off topic. Obsidian rushes off to protect Khalid and Jakeem Thunder, but the two boys are ambushed by Wotan, Gentleman Ghost, and Johnny Sorrow. So Dr. Fate uses a teleportation spell, but the spell is corrupted by Wotan before it activates, and only Jakeem is left behind. So the rest of the JSA are now transported to the Tower of Fate, but they realize something's kind of off about the tower. Hawkgirl in particular notices that it's not quite the same way that she remembers it to be. So Jay runs off to try and find a doorway out of the tower, while Hawkman and Hawkgirl leave the tower to fight the mysterious demons that they've noticed spawning outside. And that sets up everything that happened in the week when the JSA disappeared. We're back to the present, where Hawkman and Hawkgirl are still fighting the demonic hordes, and Jay and Khalid are still searching for a doorway out. But just as Jay finds a door that seemingly will lead out of this place, he gets stopped by the Injustice Society, while Carter gets stabbed through the heart by one of the demons. So yeah, this is like this I'm glad that we're getting the answer to what happened to the old guard of the Justice Society sooner rather than later, because I feel like with certain story arcs that will use this device of we're just going to jump ahead a little bit and we'll fill in the blanks later. Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I'm sick. It doesn't work that well, but with something like this, it's like, okay, we've established that the JSA went missing. What happened to them? Next issue, answer that question. So we're done. We caught up. We don't have to drag this bullshit out for a year. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate that it like set it up nicely with proper stakes and everything. Art is great. The only thing that's like kind of nagging me, and I know I can't believe I'm about to say this about Jeff Lemire because I love Jeff. I mean, I know he's married, but you know, I would. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, the point is, I like Jeff, and I know that I like Jeff Lemire, and I know that he tends to infuse a lot of his books with an ample amount of interpersonal drama and melodrama and that sort of thing. And I like that, but I don't know. It feels like the JSA has a tendency to bicker maybe a little too much to the point where they emphasize how much the JSA is like a family and they built this whole generational thing, but they kind of don't seem like they like each other at all, which is a little contrary to the JSA that I'm familiar with. So maybe it's just establishing new dynamics. Maybe it's a tense time for everyone. I don't know. But like last issue especially, although it made sense in context, but this issue, it's like everyone's fighting a little bit, especially Wildcat and Obsidian. And you're like, I thought you guys were supposed to be friends. What happened? So that's the only thing that kind of, I'm just like, can we relax with that just a little bit, please? Can we actually see them have a nice rapport, like Khalid and Jakeem? That was nice.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. So aside from that, I enjoyed the issue. I gave it an 8.25 out of 10. Just ease up a little bit on the fighting. That's all I'm saying. They are a family.
Yeah, I really agree with that. It felt out of place for the Justice Society to have that kind of infighting. I could see that with any other team, with the exception of the Titans. Like they've had their fair share of infighting, but like when it comes to the like superhero teams in the DC universe that I feel like just get along because they're a family, it's the JSA and the Titans.
Yeah, I mean the only exception I could say is maybe Ted doesn't know Obsidian that well, which is kind of true because it's not like Infinity Inc. was ever super closely tied to the JSA. But I mean, they've worked together for a number of years now at this point, and like the whole Todd being a traitor thing, they've worked past that for the most part. For all the DC nerds flame me, so I don't know. It was just a little awkward, but anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're right. Like I said, I very much agree. The art I felt was really cool, really good. This second issue is already a catch-up issue. It's like a breath of fresh air, but also odd to have it so soon. But I like it. I like the pacing so far. I like the flow. I like the story. It's interesting. This new Injustice Society, I'm all for it, but I can't say I have much more to say apart from that, so I'm just going to go ahead and give this an 8.5.
I think what you're saying is you'd prefer that we don't find out what happened to the JSA for another year, like that other book.
Give it 60 issues.
Give it 60 issues.
Which
then you'll find out
what
Peter did.
I completely forgot about that. I know you haven't been reading ASM, and I haven't either, but do you know, did we ever find out what Peter did?
I think so. I think so. Like that was addressed in, because I saw some article that was like, this is the arc that will finally address what exactly happened between the end of the whole Beyond saga that they were doing and the start of Zeb Wells' Amazing Spider-Man. But obviously, I didn't want to waste my time reading that crap, so I don't have all the details. All I know is it was not in the first arc. It was not in the first 10 issues.
You know what the crazy thing is, though? I got to go back and check, but if I remember right, that first Zeb Wells issue of ASM, where it said where it had that whole thing. What did Peter do? Advertisement of him sitting in a crater, just like screaming. And then the first issue was like 6 months earlier, and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't going to take long. Well, it's just 6 months.
No. Probably like 2
4
years.
years. Like, what the fuck?
This book did not do that, and I was very happy.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. It's a breath of fresh air. It's like second issue. Let's catch up. Okay.
Finally. Okay, so we're done. Thank you.
And how the infighting was pretty much telegraphed on the cover. You see Jade and Obsidian,
I suppose that's true,
screaming at each other.
I know. Yeah. Why is everyone so angry?
I mean, I don't blame those two. They're siblings. Siblings fight. I
suppose that's true. Yeah.
But
oh God. Maybe they need to start smoking weed.
Obsidian on weed might be a bad idea.
You're just throwing shade.
You're throwing jade?
No, shade, I say. I think it was good. I like how things feel important.
Yes.
And speaking of important, the last time that we saw Carter dealing with solo stuff, his immortality had been taken from him.
Twice.
Well, yeah. Supposedly for that final time, he was there with Hawkwoman, and it was the last time that we saw her too. But it was before Infinite Frontiers, so who knows what's at and if this is going to be continued with or ignored or what. He's supposed to be mortal now, and his next death is supposed to be his very last. Like, there's no way for him to be reincarnated, except comics. That always makes it happen. We'll see where it's going from here. But other than that, the possibilities that come with it, everything else is big. The whole issue felt just as big. It's good. It's great art. Interesting story. 8.25 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
All right, and I suppose I should probably tell you guys about my book.
Maybe.
Yeah, did you write this one?
I did.
Whoa, you didn't tell us about that.
Did you guys didn't know that's the G in G Willow Wilson is Joshua Murray?
Joshua?
Yeah, the G is
Joshua. Right, it's a soft G, excuse me.
Soft G.
So even though in normal circumstances you would say like, oh gosh, when it's written out as Goshua, it's Joshua.
Exactly.
I didn't know that, but I do now, so that's cool.
Right on.
The more you know. Poison Ivy number 28, written by well, okay, fine, not me. G Willow Wilson with art from Marcia Takara.
But how great of a, I'm sorry, I just got to get this one in. How great of a prank would that be if one of us wrote a book for DC and we had to review it? I didn't tell any of you guys, and you just completely ripped it a new asshole and then realized that I wrote it at the end or something. I was like, oh, okay.
Like if that was going to be the case, I feel like if that was going to be the case, if either one of you guys had that happen and that would have been the case, you would have known I was going to do it first.
Yeah, that's
You'd be
probably
like,
true.
He's not going to like this.
So what you're saying is you are writing Wonder Woman under the pseudonym of Tom King.
Absolutely not. Is that Brandon? Brandon, are you Tom King? Is that why you got so upset when I said I'm going to have a dog poop on his lawn?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want you doing that on my house. Also, this hair that I have, it's not real. I've actually been bald the whole time.
Oh,
and you didn't know.
Shit, it's a wig. Right, well, I'm in total disbelief, and with Pam in total disbelief after arguing with her followers, they refuse to listen to her to say she ain't all that. They ain't buying it. Releasing some knockout pheromones that she can get away. She makes her way back to Marshview, her new home away from home, if you will. On her way there, she finds out that she is pissed off not just the green, but also the gray too. And she knows that the only way to start squashing everything is to start with squashing the Order of the Green Knight, which means that she's got to get back to Seattle to confront this so-called first disciple. The bog's mysterious fog helps in that regard, and actually just kind of Swamp Thing boom tube, I guess. I'm not sure. Ivy right outside of the city's border. Meanwhile, Janet from HR and Croc were hitting skins, as the kids used to say 30 years ago.
Mixing scales and skins.
Yeah. Getting
Gross.
like Tasmanian devil.
Oh God, you and your Tasmanian devil impression.
So inappropriate. This is a show for kids. God damn you.
This is good stuff, and I doubt that it won't, that it ever won't be. That was hard to say for some reason. The world continues to grow in Poison Ivy's world, and even though it doesn't
I
have
see what you
Harley
did
in
there.
And even though it doesn't have Harley in it, it is getting better. I love it. 8.25 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was I gotta say, I was not expecting. I mean, obviously they've been teasing the whole Janet Croc relationship, but I was not expecting them to go all the way in this issue. That actually kind of caught me off guard at first. I was like, "Whoa!" I know
brown chicken, brown cow.
Yeah, like I know they were making out in the last issue, but god damn, they couldn't keep it in their pants.
Like,
Janet moves.
Jesus, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, this issue was a lot of fun, and continues to be entertaining. And I mean, I'm excited to see how the stuff develops. What with Pam possibly being back in Seattle or hallucinating or whatever the hell is going on. But honestly, the whole like subplot of Janet and Croc trying to keep their new relationship a secret from Pam is just so adorable.
Yeah.
I want to see where that goes, because like it's so obvious she's like, something's going on. You guys are acting really suspicious, and I don't know what's happening.
Sneaking away. No,
Are you
just gonna go eat
no
some rats.
Yeah, everything is perfectly normal. I was just helping Janet with her makeup. Anyway, I'll be going now. I don't know, a sewer to swim in or something. But no, this issue is a lot of fun. It's 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I could see that being a Croc in a situation where you're just like trying to think of something, looks around the room.
Yeah.
I was cooking.
I was looking for a big rock.
And I remember Janet had a rock. I figured I'd come ask. Yeah, no, this was a fun issue. God damn, this series has just been fucking stellar. This is issue 28, right? This is
fucking 28, dude.
28
I still
issues,
can't believe it.
And it hasn't had a bad issue.
Matter of fact, it had 2 issues that sucked.
I'm still just flabbergasted that this book made it to 28 issues.
Yeah, right.
You can tell
it was supposed to be 6.
Yeah, that was supposed to end at 6.
There's 6 issues. And you can tell I'm flabbergasted because I just used the fucking word flabbergasted.
2 bad issues, and the only reason that there were 2 bad issues was because of that stupid ass forced event.
Oh, but that wasn't. That was
the night terror stuff. I guess that would technically make it 30 issues, wouldn't it?
That wasn't part of the actual ongoing.
Yeah, no, it was just 2 tie-ins. Well, like loosely tied in. But
I mean, it counted in the issue numbering.
No, it
well,
wasn't.
no.
Yeah,
no. It was night. Like all of them were separate
Poison
theories.
Ivy number 1.
Night Terror's Poison Ivy 1 and 2.
Oh, so that didn't even fit into this.
No,
it doesn't count.
If you were reading it completely, I suppose
Right? Well,
you
then
could
never
read
mind.
those issues.
Fucking
Yeah.
deleted it. Never happened.
But like
This run has been a flawless victory.
again, also that's another perfect example of if I was recommending this series to someone, I would not have them read all of Night Terrors and the
No.
Poison Ivy tie-ins just to be able to complete it. You don't have
No,
to read
but if
them.
you were reading
They're
all of Night Terrors,
superfluous.
you would have you should have the Poison Ivy tie-in.
Well, if you were reading all of Night Terrors, you should
There's
probably
something
get your
wrong
head
with you.
checked. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
didn't
I
do
mean,
that.
I'll say this for the Poison Ivy Night Terrors stuff. At the time, G. Willow Wilson, it was G. Willow Wilson that wrote it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Since issue 1.
They found a way to kind of loosely tie it into what was going on with Poison Ivy at the time, with all this stuff about Harley Quinn and like trying to figure out her identity. I like that, but the whole thing of having to be Night Terrors at all was bloody bullshit.
From what I remember of the tie-ins that we read, like some were fine, but they were utterly superfluous.
Yes.
You do not have to read it to understand
whole
this
fucking
this
event
series is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I
And wasn't
100% agree.
it just Janet's dream? I don't even remember if we got to see Ivy or Harley's dreams. I think it was just Janet, but maybe I'm misremembering.
No,
I think they were
Poison Ivy's
both in
nightmare
it.
was that she was domesticated.
Yeah.
I thought that
And
was
Janet was sucked into it.
Oh, right. Okay. So it was like a shared dream.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, Poison Ivy, stellar, 28 issues. Every issue has been fucking fantastic. This has mystery, it has allure, it has suspense, it has horror, it has romance, it has comedy, it has drama.
It's got it all, baby.
It's got
got it all.
everything
It's got everything you could hope for.
and more.
It will answer all of life's questions, probably,
Yes, if you believe.
if you believe.
I have no notes. No notes.
Wait, have you ever seen the Book of Mormon?
I unfortunately have not.
Oh my god. There's
But I
a
want
song. There's a song called I Believe, and now it's stuck in my head. Where it's just like a bunch of crazy facts about the Mormon church.
Okay,
my
no,
favorite-
I've heard
yeah.
that song, yeah.
And I believe that in 1978 God changed his mind about black people. That is a real lyric from the song. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, let's
And
Trey
it's a
Parker
great
and Matt
song.
Stone. They're gonna go crazy.
Oh man, I love that show so much.
I've always wanted to see it because I've heard some of the soundtrack and I really want to watch that.
Yeah,
show.
dude. I don't know what the theater scene is like in Toronto, but
Toronto.
if it's ever out there on a show, it's so worth seeing.
The theater scene's pretty good.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I'm giving this a 9.25 out of 10.
Nice.
.25 out of 10. Said with thunder. Kaboom. Oh, I wish that was a Shazam transition. How about Kaka? There you go. That's
Oh my god. Is that your best bird of prey?
No, it's just the bird song that's stuck in my head ever since I saw Neighborhood Watch.
You sound like a rooster. Okay, Birds of Prey number 16.
What are you doing? It's a bird.
What are you doing? Birds of Prey number 16, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Sami Basri with some additional inks on pages 17 to 20 by Vicente Cifuentes, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Another summary I'm going to speed on through. While on the run from the monstrous creature named Bella, Cass, which for some reason autocorrect changed to cats in all caps for no reason. That's not a bit. This computer is just broken. Cass manages to break the collar that was forcing Bella to hunt. The two of them was forcing Bella to hunt her, and the two of them team up together to fight the Ninth Day. So they manage to take down some of their guards and use their equipment to make their way to the lab, where the next experiment is already underway. Cass, not Cats, manages to stop it and frees the young girl in captivity, just as the people of Ninth Day reveal why they'd kidnapped the Amazons and what they needed their quote-unquote rare properties for. Cass is forced to choose between... I wish I had saved this, because literally every time is forced to choose between escape or giving the birds her location so they can follow, and she chooses the latter, getting dosed by a drug and knocked out in the process. But the signal makes it to the birds, who then boom tube to the Ninth Day's lab and immediately start tearing it apart. And Barda scares the shit out of some guards, presumably. As they do, the Ninth Security Forces arrive, which is composed of the women who were modified by the Amazonian blood and other toxins, and the birds attempt to hold them off. Dinah subdues the majority of them with her canary cry, leaving just 2 behind, and Barda begins to interrogate one of them as she asks where Case is. Fucking autocorrect. As she asks where Cass is, she sees another modified woman lurking above, and to her horror, it is Cass herself. The one time that it was not autocorrected was the last line. I hate this computer, but I don't hate this book, because I gave it an 8.75 out of 10. Art was great, and I love the fact that this arc has been so Cass-focused and has given us some great moments, and also just continues to be such a fun ensemble book. I will say that this one was probably the most, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but it felt like the most Cass focused of all of them, because the previous issues were definitely jumping back and forth between her and the birds and Barda and everyone else back at the HQ. But this one really felt like it was more focused on Cass working alongside Bella to just take down the Ninth Day and also figure out what they were trying to do. And I kind of appreciated that a little bit more, just because it felt more focused. I mean, I like the team dynamic, obviously, but I like that, Cass kind of has her own time to shine. Even though, yes, she has her own fucking book. I know, I get it. But it's kind of cool to see her do her own thing in this book as well. So 8.75 out of 10. Art is stellar. I know it's supposed to be like the prisoner costume that like all of the captives are wearing in the Ninth Day, but I love the like design of the uniform they have for Cass. It's like such a cool stealth uniform. Right. So I don't know. I hope there's a way they can integrate like another stealth uniform that you can wear. But Cass looks good in anything. So basically what I'm saying is she's awesome, but not as awesome as Steph. So 8.75 out of 10. Just so I don't contradict myself.
Bruce Wayne's favorite kid.
No, Cass is Bruce Wayne's favorite kid.
It's the only one he adopted.
Shaw, that's not true.
That's definitely not true.
Yeah. There is no tisk tisk. That's fact, my
exactly.
Son.
Joke or not, we are nerds. We deal with the truth.
We deal with objective facts. I'm actually you. But this is not a game show. This is real life.
Yeah.
As if game shows are not real life.
I'm just picturing a bunch of nerds at the conference. This is not a game show. This is real life.
This is real life. We're not here to win points. This is real shit.
We're here to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Birds of Prey. It's been a pretty interesting story, seeing the birds stay back and having only one in the field until we got Frank and Cass anyway. Now Barda versus Small Bat, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I love this book, man. 8 out of 10. Art's awesome. Story's awesome. 16 issues. All have been pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Elite.
It's hard to believe it's been 16 issues already.
I know.
Yeah. But I 100% agree with everything you guys said. It's a hell of a story. It's been interesting. I can't wait to see what more they have to do for the Birds of Prey. It's been a fucking ride. I didn't get my Poison Ivy score. 9.25, just in case I did.
Yeah, no, I think you did.
Think I did. Okay,
I think you did.
But yeah, Birds of Prey, I am giving an 8.75.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys listen to the new Linkin Park album?
I mean,
sit down through it in
no.
entirety.
I also don't listen to a ton of Linkin Park, so
There
it
you
probably was not going to come across my radar.
Well, there's one track on that album that kind of stands out for me more than anything else. That kind of like feels like classic Linkin Park, and it might be, for me at least, the best track on the album, and that's called Two-Faced.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And hey, speaking
what
of
a coincidence.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm not calling you a two-faced person. I'm just referring to the song that you were talking about.
How dare you.
I didn't want to make it seem like I was making some accusation or something. You know I love you, Rob. I would never say that.
Where's my goddamn coin?
I'd murder a transition.
Right, we are here. Josh, I think you need to turn up your volume a wee bit.
Oh, my volume was way down, wasn't it? Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, we could hear you, but it was just barely audible. Yeah, so Two-Face, number 1. Everybody's getting a series.
You get a series.
Yeah. We got Poison Ivy, we got Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Penguin, Two-Face. Who's next? Kite Man?
Kite Man.
Hell yeah.
I'm shocked they haven't done that yet.
I'm honestly surprised, yeah.
Maybe Tom King is like it's too
man, come on now.
Too easy.
Shut up. Why you gotta fuck off? That's not even funny.
Tom King is the guy that made
Yeah,
Kite
he's
Man
the guy
cool.
who made him cool. Who else are you gonna get to write it? Len Wein? He's dead.
What the fuck?
Somebody funny.
Of all the people you pick.
Well, Len Wein is, I think, the co-creator of Kite Man, if I'm not mistaken.
I know, but like,
that's the only other person I could think of. It was like who could quote unquote authentically speak to the character of Kite Man, who I'm almost certain was a character he just created as a joke. Like Batman just needs a villain this week. Fuck it, he'll just fight some guy who uses kites. It's like the Spider-Man thing where they're just like, I don't know,
it's Charlie Brown.
I don't know. We'll just have Spider-Man fight someone this week. I don't care who it is. Just come up with something.
This guy with the giant wheel.
Yeah, the man who's made of bees, and you're like, what? Do you want to workshop that a little? No.
It's like, get the fuck out of my way before Spider-Man.
I said what I said. I said a man made of bees. Do I need to say it again? I said what I said.
So fucking hungry. Get the fuck out of my way before Batman's fighting the Condiment King.
Exactly.
So who?
Like just have him
around and
anyway.
find out.
Yeah, I said Condiment King. Did I stutter? No.
What do you mean the who? Did I say Roger Daltrey? No, Condiment King.
I said Condiment King. Now go draw that shit out.
Now I'm drawing ketchup and mustard. Son of a bitch.
But yeah, no, Tom King should definitely write a Kite Man 6-issue.
No, he shouldn't. He's ruining enough shit. Oh my god.
Again, I would
constant 3-year stretch of not writing anything.
I would
good.
say the person
who should write another 6-issue mini? That guy who's made me not want to read Wonder Woman. That dude.
I mean, again, I would say that the person who is most credited with making Kite Man a memorable character is Tom King. So if I were to trust anyone with writing a series, it would probably be him. But that's also just because like most of his personality comes from Tom King.
Yeah.
So I was like, real talk though. That's the thing. Like, you want to have a discussion of like, oh, where did this personality come from? That's him. Because otherwise, he was just a bit character.
Yeah, like anything you get in Harley Quinn wouldn't exist if Tom King didn't write him into his Batman series.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yeah.
I think his only other appearance was. Well, I gotta fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it was that issue from the 70s. And I'm sure Len Wein was not thinking deeply about Chuck's characterization. I think he was thinking about the fact that he had a script due next week and he needed something.
And he sure as shit wasn't going to do Relish Guy.
Yeah.
I love, though, that Kite Man's arch nemesis is Condiment King. Or arch rival.
Matter of fact, I'm going to fact check that right now. Just to make sure I'm not
While you fact check that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Two-Face.
Please do.
Yes, before we get into more Kite Man nonsense. This is written by Christian Ward with art from Fabio Veras, colors from Ivan Plasenzia, and letters from Hassan Atsmane Al-Hawa. Cover from Baldemar Rivas. Sorry, the text is so small. I need to zoom in a little bit. All right, so we open up with a brief reintroduction to Two-Face's origin story, how he got doused with acid during a case with Salvatore Moroni, and that forever scarred Harvey Dent for the rest of his life. And also at that moment gave birth to the split personality of Two-Face, amongst all the comings and goings and the struggle between chaos and fairness and struggling against Batman. It all ends up to today, where Harvey Dent once again is having his day in court as a prosecutor in the villains court called the White Church, where he presides as the public defender or public prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to tell. I think prosecutor in this case. With the judge.
No, he was the defender. He was defending Zaz.
Okay, yeah, he was the defender. And in this, the judge is being played by the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Or just the Reaper.
The Reaper.
I think, yeah, that Batman villain, the Reaper, right?
Yeah. Is he just called the Reaper?
I think so, right? From year 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. Could be. I don't remember. All right, but the case that he is in front of himself today, Jimmy the Thin, a sergeant of the Falcone crime organization, is accusing the defendants of committing a prohibited kill, the murder of one Anthony Reynolds, who was a lieutenant in the Falcone crime family and a natural friend of Jimmy the Thin. The defendant who is being accused of killing Anthony Reynolds is none other than Victor Zsasz, who pleads innocence. And through some, quite honestly, detective work, Harvey spends the next few pages detailing all of Zaz's crimes and his modus operandi and why he is the way that he is in terms of scratching a new scar on his body every time he kills someone. And then Zsasz goes a little deeper into his last kill was one Jennifer Greenfell, a kindergarten teacher from the Narrows. And his whole shtick of murders is he needs to have that connection. It's like a marriage of souls when he kills somebody. And in fact, to present Exhibit A and B, Harvey Dent reveals the bodies of Mr. Anthony Reynolds and Miss Jennifer Greenfell, which are right there in front of everybody to exclaim upon. And as Harvey is about to go into a little further into what all these scars mean, he shows that with the marriage of souls, as Victor Zsasz explains, he leaves a scar on the victim's body as well. But at that point, Victor Zsasz pulls a blade out of his wrist that he had hidden underneath the skin, or underneath the flesh rather, and slices at the bodyguard, or the bailiff guy with the, for some reason he has the gavel, I don't know why, and then takes hostage a young woman next to him, which he now wants to kill because he finds a connection to her, attraction to her. But then Harvey says, "You idiot! I'm about to prove your innocence. Sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up." Right? So which then Jimmy the Thin screams out, "I'm not apologizing shit to this guy. He killed my best friend." And then Harvey reveals that really there's no mark from Victor Zsasz on his body, and he's missing a ring. Where's this ring, Jimmy? As everyone looks at Jimmy's hand, and there's the missing ring. So as it reveals that Jimmy the Thin was the one that killed Anthony, and that's when all hell breaks loose. He pulls out a knife and goes to attack Harvey, who then takes him out. Croc has a funny moment where he's like, "Yeah, this is more like it," and he gets taken out by the gavel. But then Harvey is able to get one up on Jimmy the Thin, pulls out his coin, flips it, gets the scratched heads, and pokes his eyes out. What a fucking case. Yes. So after that, in the judges' chambers, they have a bit of a discussion between Judge Reaper, Harvey Dent, and Gavel. I believe that's what they're calling him, it's just Gavel. They have a discussion about how crime has been an uptick, or they've had a lot of cases. The third case has many weeks of people disrupting the hierarchy in one of Gotham's top gangs. Harvey does think that something is amiss right now, but as he's leaving for the day, the young woman whose life he saved wants to help Harvey and actually have him teach some stuff and learn how to be respected and feared and basically be a protege. So he reluctantly agrees after she compliments his coin. She heads home, but is being tailed by Victor Zsasz, who once again exclaims that she's very pretty. Excuse me. Harvey heads back to his own house and reveals that he's actually keeping the Two-Face personality at bay. He's locked him up inside his own head again. So even though during the court case, it did seem like Two-Face had come out and was the one that essentially mutilated Jimmy the Thin, it was all Harvey putting on an act. And he's doing all of this to try and get back in the good graces with the state attorney's office after it's being shown that he's once again keeping dangerous criminals off the streets, just not the way that it should go. That's where the issue ends, and there's more to come next issue with another case. Basically, this is Law and Order crime world.
Yeah. I love the premise of a super villain like justice system.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, like there's some deep stuff here. Like this has as many layers as Harvey's face.
And
there's a book that
there's a lot of peaks and valleys, son.
Yeah, there's a book that Chip Zdarsky did for Image called New Burn that kind of had a similar.
Right.
I didn't love that book, but it had a similar premise of like this private investigator who basically solves mysteries of crimes that happen within the mafia, so it doesn't spread out and implicate like crime lords and then get them in trouble with the cops. Like, I just like the idea that the criminals have their own internal justice system that tries to keep things fairly stable amidst the chaos in Gotham.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. And of course, Harvey being an attorney would be the prime, person to be involved in something like that.
Yeah, it works so well in ways you would not expect.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I don't know about you guys. I wasn't sure what to think about going into a Two-Face book.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't excited at first, but I'm a little more.
I enjoyed this quite a lot, actually, more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, he's being Harvey Dent in the closest capacity as he can, I guess.
Yeah.
We've been shedding that, or trying to keep that Two-Face persona shed for a while now. It sounds crazy, but him trying to get his job back, but weirder things have happened in Gotham.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more just to see where this goes, and the art is really enjoyable. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.25 out of 10.
And I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10.
Whoa! Look at us ascending scores.
Yeah.
Like a Megazord.
Awesome.
Or Voltron.
Bro.
I like it way better.
Yeah, you're right. The Megazord is way better.
I said I like that way better.
Yeah, I agree. The Megazord
Fucking
is way better.
Voltron. Legendary
No.
Defender.
Voltron.
Action Comics number
The shitty
1078. With a cover you see there by Clayton Henry and Tomomori. Excuse me, sorry. First up is Phantoms Part 9, written by Mark Waid, art by Clayton Henry and Michael Schauffer. Colors from Matt Herms, lettering from Dave Sharp. Clark is back on Earth, but that's the only thing that's been fixed so far. The Earth's sun is still dying. The Kryptonians here are already losing power. In order to stabilize what Aether did to the sun, Clark has to fly into the middle of it and remove the core that was placed there. Destroy the core and problem solved. So they empty out the Phantom Zone on a red sun planet so that the prisoners stay unpowered, fix the zone, put the people back, boom, get home for dinner. Everything goes off without a hitch, except the people from the zone aren't deposited on the red sun planet. They're deposited right in front of Clark in the middle of the sun. So there's a whole Phantom Zone's worth of Kryptonians that are full sun dip solar charged, and none of them know or are going to be willing to hear that Jor-El was not their prisoner. They're not their jailer.
Yeah.
And
that the son of their jailer is just kind of chilling, in the sun with them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be too happy about that because they weren't happy about that when they were in the Phantom Zone.
Yep. So this is a big one. On to the next. It's a lot of Kryptonians to deal with, and they aren't the nice ones either, man. It looks great, reads great. I love Action Comics. Next up is Supergirl in Help Me, written by Mariko Tamaki, art from Skylar Patridge, colors from Marissa Louise, and lettering from Becca Carey. And this one is a blip. I mean, super fast. Kara is psychically linked to the prisoner we now know is Fear, and she's sending out a beacon, a psychic bacon.
Psychic
bacon. And she's sending out a psychic beacon. No, oh my God! I just saw a Saturday morning cartoon. Psychic bacon.
Oh man, I love that show.
Right? Big enough for Power Girl to be able to find it, and her in the Dream Void. Fear is desperate to die, and Kara is trying to understand her connection to the prisoner and how deep it might go. The art is good, but the preview pages given to Dark Patterns take away from what could have been way better, way more. It looks good. There just wasn't hardly anything really happening here. This was like watching a minute and a half of next week's episode. It looks good. I just think the promotions are hurting the story. Altogether, I'll give the whole thing an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's hurting the story.
It's the same page count, but I don't think the page count has changed. It's just you get additional pages this time that include the preview. But it will. I think it's always been 8 pages, and this one I think was also 8 pages. So that hasn't changed.
Wow, it was.
It just reads fast. I think
it so fast. I felt like it was 2. 8 out of 10.
Turns out I didn't read this one.
Turns out you didn't read Action Comics?
No, I was actually catching up from last week as well because I didn't get a much chance to read last week's issue. So I read last week's Action Comics and then forgot to read this one.
You're all good.
Well, I spoiled it for you.
I started reading this issue and I was like, wait a minute, what is happening? I don't remember any of this. And I didn't realize I hadn't read last week's either. So I caught up on both.
Right on.
But I was, there have been times where I forgot that the book was weekly now. So it was just like, wait, I don't remember. I thought he just got back on Earth. What the fuck's going on?
You know?
This? But also like the cold open for this issue was completely disconnected from issue 1077 because I don't even remember the Grax character from the previous issue. So yeah, I don't know. It was kind of a false start anyway. As for this issue, some very emotional stuff. I know you haven't read it, Rob, so I want to be careful not to spoil too much.
That's fine. Spoiler.
There is a scene between Clark and the head of the Kandorian Science Council that feels like it's going to have some pretty big repercussions for Clark moving forward, especially in how he views his connection to his Kryptonian heritage. And it definitely felt like, damn, I really like, I have to make the sacrifice even though I don't want to. And knowing how much Clark has shouldered the burden of being the last son of Krypton, to have that connection cut off, I'm sure it cuts deep, as well as also potentially losing someone else very close to him who was in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, say less.
Yeah, again, I don't want to spoil it, but the point is,
say less.
This is a very, very, very emotional issue for Clark, and might be one of my favorites of the series so far because it really felt like you feel the stakes in this one, and I just Wade was able to weigh that emotional intensity so well. Like you really feel it. There's such a great. Well, again, I would spoil it, but there is a great moment in how Clark responds to that. I really appreciated it. So I gave this one an 8.25 out of 10.
Well, also, I'm gonna have to read it right after the show.
Oh yes, please do. Also, is it just me, or is like maybe it's just a small thing, but like Wally showed up in this issue, and Wally was also in the first issue of Justice League Unlimited, obviously because he's part of the team. But like, why has Wade been sneaking Wally in so many times? Like, yeah, we know you wrote Wally, but what's going on? Are you trying to tell us something? You trying to tease something? Are you gonna write another Flash thing? Is that what's going on? I have a nose for these things.
Wally West is Mark Wade's favorite character.
I know this.
So
I know, and I know he wrote Wally for many years. Maybe it was like 3 or 4, but I don't know. It just every time I see that, my nerd sense starts to tingle.
He's like, I'm just gonna keep writing Wally until they tell me I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's more like I mean, I get it because he's a Flash and he's the one person who could construct things at super speed, but I don't know. Doesn't it just have that added level of like, are you trying to do something when it's Mark Waid writing Wally not once but twice within 2 weeks of each other? I don't know. I'm probably getting too hopeful, but I feel it. I feel it in my bones. Is what I'm saying. I feel like there could be potentially one more Flash story in Mark Waid, just like there's that Superman story he's doing with Brian Hitch.
Like current Wally.
Maybe not current Wally. It could be like a Black Label book, but just that one final story that you didn't get to tell.
I'd be curious to see what he could do with current Wally.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Current Wally and his extra powers and everything.
But I would want to see like a Black Label Flash book. I would want to see what he would be able to do with the expanded page count, and, not dictated by the current continuity.
Just go crazy, man.
I have theories for that, but we'll save that for another day. We'll save that for a shorter week.
Fair enough.
Oh, now you got me curious.
of it's just like ideas of what kind of Flash story he might be able to tell, because there are plot threads from some of his Flash stuff that I think could easily be expanded upon.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Good. Okay. Well, is that all we have for Action Comics?
Oh, so
I
it's time
believe.
for a little less action, a little more detective work.
Get your sleuthing caps on. Figure this shit out.
What the hell is that Elvis song?
Elvis song.
He said a little less action, and then it just there's that song from Elvis popped into my head, and I can't think of the lyrics. A little more satisfaction.
No idea.
Josh, you're old. You know.
Fuck off.
Oh my god.
Little,
Is he
now.
that old?
Little
It's
more
like,
satisfaction.
I'm not going to
in
even
Whoa.
lie about
satisfaction
it.
in
Like,
me.
that's who you should ask. But
Oof.
I can't remember
Oof.
right now. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I had to throw it.
Josh, you're old. You probably listened to Elvis when you were like in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
What?
You know,
Sure.
when it just came out
Oh my god.
Yeah.
on a 45 record player or something.
Jesus. Stop. He's
And
already
on my
dead.
Stop. He's already dead.
He's already dead. All right.
Yes. Batman.
Uh-oh.
Batman. You know, my daughter knows Batman now. Well, I mean, she knows the name.
That's good.
Like, there's a couple of superheroes she knows the names of for some reason. I don't know how, but like,
Batman.
I was showing her. I think I was wearing one of my Green Lantern shirts, and she's like, "Do you know what it is?" She's like, "Batman." I'm like, no. Spider-Man.
So she knows Batman, but she couldn't identify Green Lantern. That feels very telling. That's like a prophecy of the future. She's gonna work for DC because that's how they feel too. They
Well, I would absolutely love if she could do that. Anywho, back to Batman number 155. This is The Dying City Part 3, written by Chip Zdarsky with art from Jorge Fornes, colors from Tomomori, and letters from Clayton Cowles, with the cover Before You from Jorge Jimenez and Tomomori. And shit, like, I knew in the pit of my souls that this wasn't Jorge Jimenez drawing the interiors, but I just dawned on me this is Jorge Fornes instead. And that's not a bad thing because the art is still
the
fucking
reincarnation
fantastic.
of David Mazzucchelli, who's not dead,
really.
by the way. I don't know why I say that.
The second
He's
coming.
very much still alive, but yeah, let's
the
call it the second coming.
like the 1.5 coming, I guess.
Yeah.
The 1.5 coming. Right, so we get a little look back over the previous 13 weeks, back when Jim Gordon was still in a PI firm with Harvey Bullock, where Jim is just getting a bit tired of doing the same old cases. But then he also gets a mysterious email asking for him and only him. And then we jump to 10 weeks prior, where we find it was actually the mayor's wife, Koyuki, who was asking for Jim's help in trailing Mayor Nakano. Or Nakano. Shit. To see if he was having an affair. And after a few weeks, Jim has found Bupkis. He's just a very busy guy. So Jim is also trying to be there for Koyuki at the same time and promise her that, you know, after he had his time on the job, he knows what it's like, and it's just a hard life, and kind of get lost in the job. And doesn't mean he loves you any less, but they end up getting a lot closer. And over the next few weeks, they actually have a lot of interactions to the point that she almost gets kidnapped by some people who want to send a message to the mayor's office, but Jim is able to actually fight them off and even kill one of the would-be kidnappers with his pistol. And in the rain, after she is safe and sound, and he is injured. They share a brief kiss, and then we jump to 6 weeks later, where an investigator is bringing photos of Jim and Koyuki having a romantic entanglement to the mayor. I think his name was Chris, his first name, Mayor Nakano.
Yeah.
And then jump again to 5 weeks ago, where they're in a hotel room together in bed, and Jim Gordon, which is the biggest surprise of the issue for me, is having a cigarette. I thought he fucking quit.
Well, you know what they say, bad habits die hard. Just like, smoking and also having affairs with married women.
Yeah. Speaking of dying hard, jump to 3 nights ago, where Jim is now going to find Koyuki at the mayor's residence. He can't get a hold of her. She's not answering his texts. And then he enters the house to find none other than Chris Nakano, who reveals that she left with their son and went to go stay with her sister after they had a big fight. And Mayor Nakano reveals that he knows everything, and they have a big squabble between the two of them. They have a bit of a fist fight, and Nakano gets knocked down. He picks up a trophy, goes to lunge at Jim, and then Jim pulls out his revolver, and that's where it ends. This was all a recreation of a story that Jim was telling to Bullock in an interrogation room after he confessed to the murder last issue to Batman. With all the information presented, there is motive and pretty much evidence and damn near a confession. They have precise shots on Mayor Nakano's body. They were fired from a police revolver, the same police revolver that is tied, licensed to Jim Gordon, or at least the same make and model. The thing is, he does not have any recollection of actually firing the gun and killing Nakano. He just remembers pulling out his revolver, and that's it. So he's convinced he was not the one that did it. Bullock wants to give him the benefit of the doubt, and he does want to believe him. It's just actually proving his innocence is not going to be easy, but he's going to have his best guys on it inside and outside the station, where he then goes up to the rooftop and tells Batman everything he heard. And Batman is convinced he didn't do it, and he's going to prove it. So he goes and does just that. But his first stop is actually to visit his supposed half brother, to which he actually finds Leonid Cull, who he met prior as Batman, coming out of the same mansion or the same house. He's being told by the bodyguards he is not allowed to step foot on the property and not allowed to be anywhere near the house, or things will happen. So he takes a step on to see what the hell's going to happen, and he proceeds to get beat up. But it is all just a ploy by himself to pretend to get beat up so he can grab Leonid Cull's foot and place a tracker on his shoe. And then he gets back to his investigation, going back to the mansion, the mayor's mansion, to see what he can find, this time unopposed with nobody interrupting him. He finds a thin piece of plastic, and then heads to the police precinct to have a conversation with Jim himself, detailing everything he's found, and then sees Jim's broken glasses, which got broken during the fight with Mayor Nakano. But then he finds out that the piece of plastic that he found on the floor is different. The frames are the piece is too thin. The arms of the frame are hollow. But that's when the alarm goes off, and between Gordon and Batman, they are able to fend off the police that are coming into attack after they realize that Vandal Savage knows that Batman is there. So Vandal Savage wants to get Batman taken down. Batman, after doing a bit of fighting and investigating the glasses, sees some interesting and familiar technology as actually built into the glasses, technology he knows and recognizes it's mind control tech, not just any mind control tech, but it's Jervis tech, um, and hidden inside the the fucking motherboard is one tiny little symbol of a question mark. And that's when Batman realizes that Jervis Tech has been working alongside or for Nigma all along, and that the building that says Nigma Tech actually has a hidden T in between the E and the C, so it actually says Nigma Tech, and everything's going to fall apart next issue. So shit's getting wild, shit's going down, shit's getting crazy, and it's all Riddler's fault, despite the fact that he says, "I'm clean, I swear."
But there was a moment. I mean, I liked this issue. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But there was a moment where I thought that it was all going to be a master ploy of the Mad Hatter, and I got so excited because no one ever does that. Right. But unfortunately, it was not.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I've had a Mad Hatter story for years.
You should tell it.
I would like to one day, but we'll see.
What's stopping?
I'm gonna keep that one close to the vest because I don't want anyone to steal it. I want any writers who may or may not be listening to leave it from me.
You need to just write it, and then they can't steal it.
That's true.
Sometimes it's all it takes. Yeah, but Batman, I'm happy that this is getting a bit more depth to it, that we're actually getting along to some of the solutions, because it has been a very interesting story, but it also has felt like a very long story already, and it's only part 3, but we're getting some headway now, so I'm happy with that. It's interesting. I like the little hidden teases that they had the whole time, that if you knew what to look for, you'd see it, but if you didn't know what to look for, you were going to be pleasantly surprised when you did see it. And now you will not be able to unsee it. It happens. It's a nice little mystery for what I think is the last arc in Chip Zdarsky's run. It feels a little tame. Like, I figured he would do something a bit bigger, a bit more grandiose to finish off, especially considering how his run started. But this feels a little more like a simple, here's a Riddler mystery, right? Yeah, there's some stuff going on with a half-brother, but we've yet to see if that's going to actually lead to anything. So for now, with the really cool art and the interesting story, I'm going to give this an 8.75.
Awesome. I think okay, I completely agree with what you said about it being kind of weird that this is the final arc for Zdarsky's run on Batman, because it does feel like there should be something that is a little more grandiose, or have a little bit of weight to it. And I'm just kind of wondering, I guess I'm thinking, I'm like, what? Every arc has some kind of reasoning or motivation, whether it's, I just want to have fun, or I want to say something. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what exactly is this arc trying to do? What is it trying to say? What is the purpose of it? And I mean, maybe it's trying to unpack the whole like mythology that Bruce has developed around Gordon and his father, and something like that, which is an interesting statement to make in your final arc. Usually that's something you'd want to do at the start, but I don't know. I think I won't really get a better sense of it until this arc is finished, and then I can kind of reflect on the run as a whole. But in terms of this issue alone, no, I enjoyed it quite a lot, actually. Definitely more so than last month's issue, in no small part because of the art. Jorge Forrest kills it. So great for this issue. So wonderfully like pulpish and proper for this kind of mystery story. And you actually get to see Batman do some detective work in this issue. And it's like, whoa, I forgot he could do that. That's
Batman's a
awesome.
detective? What?
Batman's a detective. He goes to a crime scene and detects things. That's incredible. They don't do that anymore.
Who thought that was a thing?
Whoa. But no, aside from that, a lot of the character stuff was great too. Oh man, there's one more thing I was going to say, but I totally spaced on it. If it comes back to me later, oh no, it was the only thing that I felt like was kind of a disappointment, and I already kind of said it, was the implication that, I mean, maybe Mad Hatter is working with Riddler, or maybe Riddler just stole Jervis Tetch's tech, which seems more likely. But I really do wish they had gone. I would have been way out of left field, and people probably would have been bitching because there was no telegraphing it. But I just love the idea that this would have been some grand plan of the Mad Hatter. I really do, and I wish they'd gone that direction. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the
don't
case.
get much love.
I know. This is too much to ask for Mad Hatter's story, please.
I mean, he's a good character. He's far better than the Penguin, and we can't get rid of his fucking ass.
I don't know. But no, aside from that, great stuff. And I'm sure maybe we can talk about the Jim Gordon stuff later. But aside from that, some of which I was a little frustrated with, I enjoyed the issue. I enjoyed the issue quite immensely, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Awesome, man. Sure as shit is a lot going on in Gotham right now. Commander Star. I keep on wanting to call him Commander Steel. Commander Star, Vandal Savage, Jim, the Nakanos, Gotham City is on fire, metaphorically. Bruce's mystery brother, the Mad Hatter, the Riddler, and the Court of Owls. Is there anything I'm missing? Anything I'm forgetting?
I forgot the Court of Owls was involved.
Yeah. It's kind of been a background. Well, I mean, only sort of. It's clear that they're involved, but I don't even know if, what's his face, Leonid Cull has explicitly stated that he's a member of the Court of Owls yet. He's just kind of alluded to it. But I could be wrong about that.
There's so much going on, but it feels, I can appreciate that it feels like Jesus. I can appreciate that it doesn't feel like it's too much, even with all of that I just said. Though it could be just because we're also just getting little doses of all of these little things. I do wish we were getting a little bit more meat on the bone to move the story along a little faster, or at least feel like I'm getting more out of it per issue. It's still a really good story. An odd place, like Brandon had mentioned, an odd place to put this in your storytelling, but here we are, and I'm looking forward to what Zdarsky does with it. It's an interesting plot, and from what we know about it, I'm really curious about where it's headed. Again, I liked it. 8 out of 10.
I mean, am I wrong for saying? Doesn't that feel like the whole Bruce questioning I'll say it, the father figures in his life? Because yes, I think Jim is kind of like a father figure to Bruce in a way.
Yeah, no, he definitely is.
I'm sure some people would disagree, but whatever.
Well, those people would be wrong, though.
Doesn't that kind of feel like the thing you would set up in a first arc and then spend, the rest of the run unpacking?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it feels oddly placed, is what I'm saying.
Oh, you're 100% correct. I very much agree with that statement. And I think that might be what I was getting at too. Like it feels like the beginning of something. Yeah. It doesn't feel like the end of something.
Which is strange, considering this arc is going to end and then go straight into Hush to Electric Boogaloo. So I don't know what's going on at DC editorial, but yeah, this feels kind of oddly placed, is what I'm saying.
It's the ghost of Julie Schwartz.
Yeah.
I love that we're getting a Hush 2.0 after we got a Shush that meant absolutely nothing.
Oh. Well, yeah, hopefully Hush 2.0 has more substance than Josh.
Absolutely.
I think that's a given.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think Jeff Loeb is necessarily at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Has not been at the top of his game since about 2008. But I guess the Long Halloween hasn't been that bad, so the newer
It has.
continuation. So who knows? Maybe he's still got it in him.
Yeah.
Possibility.
Is it a possibility? Absolutely.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
If you're possible.
Anything's possible if you're Superman.
Except resisting magic.
I was waiting for you to say absolutely.
Absolutely.
You give me like a cosign, and then it would be like Superman, absolutely. Wait, no, that's wrong. Absolute Superman. Like a little back and forth, like this is a comedy show, which it obviously isn't. But if it was, we would do very well. Absolute Superman number 2.
This isn't a comedy show?
I wish, but clearly we're not making any good jokes.
Absolutely.
I think we are the jokes.
I am the joke.
Okay, enough of these terrible jokes. Absolute Superman number 2, written by Jason Aaron, art by Rafa Sandoval, with colors from Ulysses Areola and a cover by both of them, with letters from Becca Carey. This is the issue where the Lazarus Corporation attacks, cuffed or chuffed, as he calls it, to Agent Lois Lane of the Lazarus Corporation. Kal-El, I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed, positively chuffed. As Cal, I had to do it. As Cal dodges Lazarus military, oh my god. I'm sure it's going to be a fucking soundbite of me saying I'm chuffed.
I'm chuffed.
I'm absolutely chuffed to be reviewing this book, I'll tell you that. So Cal manages to dodge the Lazarus military and weapons while also saving the lives of the people around him. And Lois's view of the mysterious Superman begins to change. She's like, whoa, this guy, he's not that bad. So she reflects this in her field report and her private report, detailing that Superman is both childish and mature, a figure who has 2 sides to him, yet firmly believes in himself, which is interesting given that both of these things should be contradictory, but more than that, he just believes he has strong self-confidence in his ideals, which is unusual. Lois releases the cuffs or chuffs and offers to help, but Cal flies off, still untrusting of her. So Lois goes back to base and completes her after-action report with the Brainiac AI as she attempts to explain that he's not a threat and cannot be controlled, which, of course, the AI, being shitty, like a lot of AI, misconstrues her words and reads Superman as being dangerous and requiring termination. So Lois is inspired by her time with the Superman and her frustration with the Brainiac AI, and she decides to do something that she hates, absolutely despises, which is right. Because if there's one thing we know about Lois Lane, it's how much she hates writing. Back in Brazil, in a moment of anger, Agent Christopher Smith, still angry at his confrontation with Superman, lashes out at Superman supporters, firing a gun on them and claiming he has to teach them that peace comes with a price, and presumably kills them. But we don't see it because that would be too grim. So, yeah, this issue, pretty solid. I liked the first issue of Absolute Superman, but at least for my taste, it felt like the weaker of the absolute number 1 so far. But this second issue is definitely okay, now I'm into it. The first issue, I was still kind of trying to get a better sense of it. This is when I'm like, okay, cool, I got it. Because if there's one thing I love about Superman, it's seeing Superman from other people's perspectives, which sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. One thing that I think really helps Superman stories is getting the scope of Superman from someone else's viewpoint. And that's exactly what you get in this issue with Lois Lane, which I really liked because you see him in action. You see him obviously trying to fend off the Lazarus Corp troops and tanks and all that stuff, but you also see him being a Superman and helping people first and foremost. And Lois is so taken aback by that it literally changes her perspective and her view of Superman. And I love that approach in any kind of Superman story, but especially in this one. So that really sold me on this issue. And hopefully they continue stuff like that throughout the series, just showing us, yes, that this is a different Superman. But at the end of the day, he is a Superman. He's still that archetype that you can reliably follow and believe in. And I like that. And I didn't really mention it in the summary, but the teases we get of Cal's past on Krypton is stuff that I definitely hope to see expanded on more. So 8.25 out of 10. Art is immaculate, but you don't need to hear me ramble about that. You can just read the issue yourself because it's great.
My score is exactly the same, and oddly enough, my notes were pretty much exactly the same.
Whoa. Are you stealing from me?
Apparently. That it was like I had the same thing. Like issue 1 was okay, it was interesting, but it was number 3 in my top 3, and issue 2 rather, just expands on this world in a big way and really sheds a bit more light on who Superman is and his backstory and where all the stuff came from, because there was a lot of world building in the first issue, and
just like setting up the stuff on Krypton.
Yeah, and damn near exposition to the point that there wasn't enough space to really fill in a lot of the questions and blanks that we had in our minds, which left this issue. So this issue way better, and honestly makes me appreciate issue 1 a bit more. So
yeah, same here.
Yeah, 8.25 out of 10. Also,
this cover,
God,
I love. Yeah. It's so cool. Like, I remember seeing the teaser from this months ago. I was like, this is going to be hype. And this issue was, in fact, hype. So I'm satisfied.
I don't think I've ever heard those words together in the same sentence. It was, in fact, hype.
It was, in fact, hype. Well, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
It was, in fact, hype.
Hype indeed. That's like Captain Holt explaining how awesome a rave was to the kids. It was, in fact, hype.
It was, in fact, hype. It was, in fact, as the youths like to say, hype. or youths if you're Schmidt from New Girl.
2 youths.
Youths, street
what
youths.
Is a youth?
Not for my cousin Vinny. Although I love that too. Youths, Your Honor, youths. Are you saying youths?
Was that? Remind me, was that Gary Chalk playing the judge?
Was it?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Maybe. Let me see.
What is a youth?
It was. Oh no, it was Fred Gwynn.
Oh.
Well, fantastic.
Josh, what did you think of Superman? Absolutely.
I'm digging the extra backstory that we got in it. A little bit more who this Superman is, who Lois is too. I do have to catch myself calling him Clark.
Yeah.
Definitely not Clark.
Definitely not Clark.
Not Clark.
At all. And
he may never be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's not supposed to be, so that's okay. I like the AI interaction between him and Super Skeets. That's pretty cool. The suit design itself so far anyway is really cool. I like how quiet he is. He still seems to be the same Superman, just it's so weird because it's like if you were to say, I want you to take Superman and everything that we know about Superman, I want that to remain true, but I want you to write him and introduce him to us in a way that where everything about him and the way that he was raised and all of it was completely different. And you're like, how in the fuck do you do such a thing? This is it.
Yeah.
But his core values remain
This
the
is
same.
it.
I think that's
the absolute.
That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, they nailed it with the dialogue that Lois gave in the comic.
Yeah.
This isn't Clark Kent, but this is 100% Superman.
Yeah.
I would almost say it's more true to the original spirit of Superman being kind of anti-authoritarian. It's something that Grant Morrison experimented with when they redid Action Comics, where it's like you read those early Golden Age Superman stories, and he's like
He's a
he's
citizen
like
of the world.
Yeah, he's a citizen. He's like basically a socialist. I mean that in the best way, but very much anti-authority, borderline anti-capital, and very much that anti-authority is played up here, given his past being, on Krypton of the, I guess, lower class non-science council people.
Right.
Yeah.
An engineer and a mechanic.
Mm.
Is that correct?
Were they both? I think they were farmers or something.
No, it was Lara was an inventor engineer,
Right.
and Jor-El was a miner who was also somewhat of an inventor.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I guess that is it. And if that is it, then that is all. Let us get on with our top 3 and favorite moment, y'all.
Oh, did you give your score?
Didn't I?
I don't know.
I didn't even finish fucking talking about it, did I? Anyway, I like this Superman. At least so far, 2 issues in, and what we've got is good. I wish I could draw it in color like this. It looks fantastic on every page. It's a great time. 8.5 out of 10. And now it's time to go to the top 3 and favorite moment.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I am going to have to. It's choosing between first and second place for myself was very difficult. I went back and forth. I'm even still going back and forth right now, but I'm going to stay with how I have it on the page for the moment and go with third place is going to go to JSA, second place is going to go to Absolute Superman, and first place is going to go to Poison Ivy. And my favorite moment is in Absolute Superman. There's that page, a full 2-page splash, where the Peacekeepers are about to unload on Superman, and he speeds around in front of Lois to protect her, and it's like all done in one picture. That looked so freaking cool.
Pretty awesome.
My favorite moment. And that's it for me. What about you guys?
Why don't you go ahead, my friend?
Okay. Oh, fine.
Okay, man.
Okay. Number 3, I had Birds of Prey. At number 2, I had Batman, though they are pretty interchangeable in terms of second and third. And number 1, I had Poison Ivy, with my favorite moment coming out of there, with Croc and Janet having that awkward discussion with Ivy and Croc trying to sneak out. I just thought that was great. It's the one thing Croc's afraid of, Pamela Isley.
Pissing Poison Ivy off.
Oh god. I mean, would she be mad? Maybe she'd be jealous, but I mean, I don't know.
I think she'd be like, no, that's good. You two should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep away from her.
Honestly, it helps me kind of get off scot-free, because now, I can just be with Harley exclusively.
Wait, she was on scot-free? Nobody tell Barda.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a whole other story.
Next story arc, Poison Ivy versus the Birds of Prey.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Barda is going to rip Poison Ivy a new asshole and then some.
Next issue, Barda goes
Next
gardening.
Next issue, Apocalyptic Weed Whacker.
Lashino, the female Furies, comes.
Yeah, that should be the tagline. Lawn care with the Furies. It's Poison Ivy versus the female Furies. My top 3, I had JSA number 2 at 3, Batman 155 at 2, and Birds of Prey number 16 at number 1. Wish I could have found a way to include Poison Ivy in here because it was very good this week, but alas, it could not make the cut.
Only a top 3.
But my favorite panel from this week, it's just kind of too specific for me to say exactly, but I'll just send a picture of it to our Discord. But it was these 2 panels specifically they're on different pages, but these 2 panels specifically from Batman 155 from the Right Forces.
Yeah,
they were so good, especially the one at the top with Jim Gordon. Like, it just made me, I had to stop because that was executed so well. And the way they segue between that and Bruce waking up was like chef's kiss. Of seamless.
that was really good.
It really was. Super good stuff. And moody as hell, impactful, simple art. All right, well, that is it then. Before we get out here this week, let's tell you about next week. Next week we've got Action Comics 1079, Green Lantern 18, Batman and Robin 16, Superwoman Special number 1, Black Lightning number 2. And we've also got DC versus Vampires World War V number 5, Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns number 3, Gotham City Sirens Uncovered, and Dan Waters Backman.
Dude, I love Batman.
Sidekick Front Boy. Dan Waters is writing Batman Dark Patterns number 1, and that looks to be really good. I will be checking it out, which means you probably should too.
Dan, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if you are, please do another signing at that place in Manhattan. I will be there if I can. It will be awesome.
Do it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and or listening. We will be back next week covering all of DC's weekly releases. Same geek time, same geek channel, and that is the show. We're getting out of here, so you'll have to as well. Be careful out there, and remember, in the Geek Matrix, everybody has a home. In the Geek Matrix, you are not alone.
Peace.